Oh, I'm live. Just staring at the screen. Guys knew I was coming up. You knew it was happening. So let's see who's around. Is everybody going to bed? So it's actually cold too. Um, yeah, maybe I should have put something on a little bit more than a t-shirt, but whatever. Let's see. There. Now I can see what's going on. And all my neighbors can see me walking down the street. So I just had a nice stream with Glenn. Nice 2 hours with those guys. Just can't get up there at that time, man. I want to get up there with them, but eight o'clock, still taking care of the family and doing stuff. So yeah, it's just not happening. But of course, all the recent discussion of Hackney Diamonds and Glenn just taking a firm stand on it. I mean, just not giving in on the Hackney Diamonds, and then some Beatles talk, of course, with the red and blue. So maybe we can talk about something a little different, or if that's still the hot topic. Let's see. Yep, going. You got it. I'm heading over for the prostate. Yes. It's about the right time. It's a little early, but it's dark, so he prefers the dark. So that's how I do it. You know what? I've never actually seen his face before. Like cracking myself up with this stupidity. That's just stupid. I can't believe we went on that long about a prostate exam. Oh God, that's some funny stuff right there. But yeah, I've never seen his face before. Couldn't tell you what color he is, color his hair, how he dresses. No idea. I kind of picture Brad Pitt though. That's what I do. Dr. Feelgood probably hasn't seen your face. Yeah. No, I don't know. Well, I have this. So tonight he might if the light goes out, you know why. And if this happens, if this happens and that might happen. Yeah, prostate talk with John. There you go. That's a channel idea right there. Yeah, we might be onto something here. The new prostate boys of the VC. How about that? I got to remember to pop these up because that's pretty freaking funny. There you go. It takes me a little while to warm up. It's actually surprisingly cold out right now, so pretty funny in Florida. Go figure. But it got pretty cold tonight, so I got dogs barking. They're not happy with me out here. But yeah, so that was. If anybody wants to come up, let me know. Just pop it in there. I'll pop a link up. But yeah, I can never come up with Glenn at that 8 o'clock time. It's just, and I don't want to come up when I might interrupt or ruin the flow of the whole thing. So, but it kills me because every week I want to go up, and every week I'm like, okay, I have time, but and then you guys already have like your planned things, so it's hard to pop up. But yeah, one of these days I'll get up there again. But good conversation. Um, what were we talking about? Beer and vinyl. There's something we touched base on there. I can't remember what it was, which artist. We kind of touched base on a couple there. Um, I can't remember what it was. Here, let me put the link up here just in case too. Let's see. Invite guests, copy. Let's see. Post comment. Blah 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 blah. We'll see how much my hotspot on my phone can take. I'm actually out here on the hotspot from another phone using this phone. Okay, yeah, I just put the link up there. I'll keep an eye out for you down there at the little bottom part. It's harder to see some things while I'm on the phone, but yeah, it's a good conversation. I liked what you said about Genesis. I kind of fall where Gary falls on Genesis right there with I think he said Duke and Abacab. I think those were the two. But yep, there we go. That's where I fall, but I still got to discover some of the early Genesis. There you go.
I just didn't heard you say that you still got to discover some of the early Genesis.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how far I have. What's the other one? I don't have. Maybe I have a Trick of the Tail. I might have that one, but I haven't ventured too far in yet. I'm more of a pop guy, but I'm not afraid to kind of test the waters, you know?
Well, and that's what I was telling, Jason too. I mean, and the pop stuff's not bad. And in fact, I think a lot of people, their favorite stuff is sort of that mid-range of like, ooh, there's some cool arrangements here. There's some complex stuff, but it's very accessible. And so that's why, like, I mean, records like Duke or, that kind of, I think are just, or, and then there were three is another one of just like a really good mix of some of that pop accessibility stuff with a lot of that proggy old stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like it because even with Gabriel, there's still, I need that melody. I need that hook. I'm okay to
Yeah.
go on a journey with you, but so I like Pink Floyd because there's always something that draws you into it. So I'm okay with that. Some prog albums just, I don't know, I kind of get lost in them in a way, and I think that's
You
what
know,
loses me.
that's actually a great point. And I meant to make the point earlier when Glenn was talking about, because he was talking about how he's like, he's like, there's no power behind it. Genesis obviously is began as a big prog band, but they're not pretentious. They're
Right.
not, there's no widdly. There's no like, let's have this whole thing just for the sake of doing it to showcase how great we are as musicians. Um,
Right.
Yes has that. King Crimson has that. ELP certainly has that. Genesis has always been more about the song and about the composition and about the hooks and the melodies. That's what,
Yeah.
to me, that's what made them stand apart a little bit more than those other bands, was that they always had those aspects.
Yeah, you made a good point tonight too. I had no idea Mike Rutherford, right? Wasn't was the bass player. Like I don't really know their history. I remember like the early stuff with Peter Gabriel and the dresses and the fox hat or whatever he did. But I had no idea Rutherford was bass. I don't remember knowing that. And then he switched over to guitar. So that's interesting.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, a little less complex of a of the player.
Yeah, see, I don't know the early stuff enough to see the difference, but let's see. Did you get my request on the Jethro Tull video? If not, I'd like to change it to Sun Message. Okay. Well, write me an email or text it. Because I don't know if I'll remember it by the end of this thing. I have another channel that I do. It's Strange Brew Reactions, and I do all kinds of weird crap over there. But I do song reactions over there. People pick songs, and I react. I do this. I walk around and react to it. That's why everybody's joking that I'm walking around all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I
So
love like the if you like this, you'll like that sort of stuff that you do.
yeah, I try to just keep it. I like showing my records and people. Those are my highest watched videos when I'm just showing you my recent grabs. But if I'm out mowing the lawn or something and inspiration strikes, go film a video. You
Heck
know.
yeah.
So, and you're up to, well, you've only got one video in the bag so far?
Technically three. The fourth will be probably
Oh,
posted tomorrow.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
missed them. I have to go back because I'm subbed up to you. I saw the first one. You
It's
did
okay.
pretty
Well,
good.
it's I feel like it's probably ooh, thank you for subbing to Mr. Beer. I love that. Yeah, I think my thing is like I don't want to lose momentum. Like I feel like a lot of probably like newer channels probably like post like an intro or post like a thread or a contest or something, and then run into like that wall of like what do I do? And so I don't, every couple of days I'm like just post something. It's like just keep the momentum going. So
Yeah, I spent more time worrying about content in the beginning. Now I don't even think about it. I was like, okay, I'm going to work my way through my record collection, which I still haven't finished now, because once you're kind of in the groove and you're used to making videos, it just comes, like the ideas come, and you don't spend time really. Some people plan them, and it's good to know like more information about the bands and stuff, but sometimes you just go and you just start talking and see what happens. you know
yeah, and you have a lot of great editing in your videos too.
oh, thanks.
That's something like I maybe I'll get a hold of later. I've had some people come to me, they're like, "Oh, cool video, but like, have you ever considered like some?" And I'm like, "No, not now. Like, I just want to jump on and talk about music or talk about records or whatever. Like, I'll say stuff that's probably wrong, or I'll stutter,
Yeah.
or I'll lose my thought, but I'm okay with that. Like, I have no
Oh, yeah.
problem with that."
Yeah, that's the human part of it. I leave my mistakes in. I think it's funny. I let people, if I realize there's a mistake, I won't edit that out. I'll let somebody correct me in the comments, and I make a lot of mistakes. It's just,
Yeah,
I get like names confused. I'll start talking about one guitar player and I'll give you another guitar player's name. So
yeah,
that's just the nature of it. But yeah, because I don't have a lot of time, but when you do the videos, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do this video. I'm going to talk about the records. I'm done. But every time I'm in the editing process, I go, we could put a little song clip in there. We could put a little, something in there. And next thing I know, I'm spending 2 hours on the thing. So,
right.
but
Yeah,
it's a shame that YouTube doesn't give you a little more freedom. You get that 6 seconds to show somebody a song. Um, and it's worked pretty good because I try to find like the catchiest part of a song and put it in there. And it's led people to go explore those albums. So at least we get the 6 seconds. So it's better than nothing.
yeah.
There's Dave making his rounds, his third live stream for the night.
Dave, I got to know. I mean, Dave's everywhere. Are you? We're at in please don't give your address, but I remember about 10 years ago I was doing a service trip and I traveled across basically the whole country, but spent a lot of time in Wyoming, and so hit up a lot of those. Well, Wyoming has no major cities, but was in places like Laramie or Cheyenne and Casper and a lot of those areas. So I'm kind of curious where you're at because traveling through Wyoming was a crazy time. I mean, it was beautiful, but like it was just like a weird, talk about an area of the country that is still. I remember waking up in some of the mornings and I'd be driving like a van across country and they'd be like, well, you better fill up your gas now because we won't pass another gas station for another 125 miles. So,
Wow.
figure it out. But I loved traveling through there.
But nice country, I guess. I've never been to Wyoming.
Middle of nowhere. Yeah, middle of nowhere. It could be anywhere.
There's Sean. Hey, Sean.
There's Sean.
Link's there if you want to come up. Uh, yeah, and I don't think Dave has any record stores really close to him. He maybe has some thrift stores he hits from here from time to time. Holy
And
crap!
John, are you in like Orlando area?
No, more towards Tampa, the Tampa
Oh, okay.
area. Look at that! I'm getting a call from my daughter. I'm gonna text her.
Daughters. I'll actually. Well, here we go. We could start planning. I'll be in Tampa in about a month.
Okay, sorry about that. You're in Tampa, you said?
Yeah, I'll be downtown Tampa next month actually, or I guess later
Oh,
this
okay.
month. But
How long are you gonna be in town?
it's a conference. I think it starts. So it's the conference is always the week after Thanksgiving. So I think I get in on Tuesday and leave on Saturday. But I'll be right downtown, like at the I don't know, like right by the hockey stadium at like the JW Marriott whole shindig thing
Yeah.
there or whatever.
Okay, yeah, because I'm just well, I guess you sort of south of Tampa. I could be there in half an hour kind of thing. So I'm not
Uh,
that far from there. So well yeah, you'll have to let me know. We'll have to exchange
Heck yeah,
information.
man. That'd be
Yeah, that'd be
cool.
cool. I can show you my stomping grounds over at Kingfish. You have time?
Ooh. Was that record store near you or?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, if you watch more of my videos, you'll see I'm there. Like, well, I go there once a week and I show their new releases.
That's the new
So
release
that's a
stuff.
thing.
Yeah.
Yep, that's inside Kingfish all the time. So
Love
um,
it.
yeah, so it's cool the relationship I have with those guys. It's pretty cool. In fact, I just
That's
missed
awesome.
last week. I was in Orlando, and they did a Halloween thing. And the guy that I do the videos with, Rick, he likes Ghost. He's a big fan of Ghost, and
Yeah,
he did full makeup like
that's
Ghost.
awesome.
So I'm like, man, if I was there for that, that would have been great, making fun of him that whole time. So
No, I
like
mean that's a
Ghost,
cool
I
thing.
explored him. Yeah.
No, it's a cool thing about you're talking about having a good relationship with Kingfish. Is that the name of the place?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, because I mean, I started thinking about that of like, here I'm in Columbus, Ohio, and it is, I would tell anybody, like, it is a gold mine for record stores. I mean, not only do we have a ton, but they're all incredible, and they're all within like 2 square miles of each other. So like, rarely do I have a day where I go to one store because I'll be like, well, I'm already here. I might as well drive down the block and go to the other one. Um,
Hmm.
and it's like, I've frequented a lot of these places where I know the owners or whoever, and I'm like, I just want to like, take 40 minutes and just sit down and like chat with them on like
Yeah.
something like this, right? Like, how cool would that be?
Oh yeah. I just interviewed the owner of Kingfish. We just did a thing last month, I think.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and a lot of them are pretty open to it. If I go anywhere, if I go to St. Augustine, we go there once a year. I go in and say, "Hey, is it okay if I film?" They're like, "Cool." I'm like, "Do you have any, any things you want me to not film or whatever?" It's usually, keep the customers out of it as much as you can,
yeah,
kind of thing. But yeah, pretty much everybody's been open to just let me come in, film, and I just kind of say, what the experience was like. I don't make anything negative out of it, and a lot of them are open to it. And then yeah, you might end up developing that relationship where you can go in there more often. And I was
yeah.
doing the new releases, just filming it for them for their channel, and like 2 months in, I'm like, why am I not doing this for my channel? Doing a double header.
Yeah,
So and they were open for it. They even turned the music down for me, so we don't have to worry about copyright issues.
that's
And
awesome. Yeah,
I film my video, so yeah, it helps both people out.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and some people
What's
don't
cool too,
even
and
they. So
no, go ahead.
no, I was just saying. Most people are kind of gun shy too. Like, there's one shop, and the owner, just like, yeah, I'm like, maybe I can talk to you during the video. He's like, no, 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 I don't want to get on camera. And I was like, it's
Yeah,
just a phone, and he's like, no, no. So I get it.
yeah. Yeah, that's real. Well, that's the thing too, is like, I don't know, like I find like, every record store is a little bit different, like, but the ones I love the most are like a little bit more of like those mom and pop shops where, it's like while you're searching or, flipping through stuff or you're checking out and they're like, oh wow, cool. Like, I haven't listened to this in 30 years. And it's like then you start talking and I just like I get, pretty like interested of like, how'd you get to a place where you were like, I'm gonna open a record store? Like, it's like I love that
Yeah.
type of stuff and sitting there and just kind of shooting the shit with them, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's plenty of times, it's not too far from me. If I'm driving by, I'll just hop in and hang out in the office with the guys and talk and not walk out with a record. So it's
Yeah.
that, yeah, it's a social thing because, again, this is a lonely hobby. We
Yeah.
turn to YouTube to
That's
talk
why
to
we do
people
this, right?
in other states, yeah, because we want to brag about our records, and other people go, oh, that's kind of cool, but there's nothing really ever negative about it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty funny that so when you go to a record store, and some people don't want to be bothered. Some people come in and they do their thing
Yep.
and go out with a record, and you just know when not to talk to those guys. And then some people are like us, where they're just dying to talk about that record, you know.
Yep.
And whether you're interested in that artist or not, you vibe on their enthusiasm a little bit.
Well, I think that's a good point too. Of like, I think a lot of us have obviously always been music fans, but I think what the getting into the hobby more has really, I guess, taught me or inspired me is like really
Hey,
opening up more to, oh, what's up, Dave?
hey,
Hey,
not much, guys. Just thought I'd say hi to you.
Hey, well, yeah, I mean, I see you in the comments all the time, but I've never actually, and I see you on video all the time on other channels and stuff. So it's really good to.
Well, actually, I think I came across Alex. Were you on like Glenn's stream last before Christmas? Maybe last year, Glenn's
Oh
show.
gosh, that
I
was a
don't know.
while ago. I don't know if it was that long ago.
Was it? watched one of his replay videos and seen it on a long time ago, about a year ago.
Yeah. Cool.
Maybe, I don't know.
I think, yeah, Dave has enough material to write a book about the DC. He's everywhere. He remembers everything. So
Like the
watch what you
investigative
say.
reporter over here.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
What was-
But yeah, I mean, I was going to say, like, it is so much more types of music that I would not have previously have gotten into.
Oh yeah.
But you see, you know, the excitement that it brings to people and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, a perfect example. You know what's funny is, like, somehow they've become like a legacy band, right? Like,
Yeah,
like, and I'm like, they're not that old. Like,
that's true. Blink-182 from the mid
Oh, yeah.
1990s.
Yeah, it's interesting. But look, it's like, yeah, you're right, because I never listened to jazz before the vinyl community. And I'm about a year and I don't know, a little over a year and a half into this now. And I've never had this much jazz in my life. Like, I have
Right.
2 complete sections of jazz, probably up to 70 albums right now. And
Oh,
I'm
really,
like,
John? That's cool.
yeah, I would have never thought I would have had that much jazz. Blues I could see, but I have more jazz than blues now. So it's crazy.
well, and once you get in go down that rabbit hole, there's very little coming back.
Yeah, I'm at a point though, because well, you're just new to creating, but you've kind of been in the vinyl community for a while, I guess, or in and
Yeah.
out.
A few years.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you first get in, it seems like everybody knows more than you. They know everything. They have all this experience. You know, they talk with confidence. And then you start getting into the MoFi thing or the higher quality thing, and you have these big boxes of records, and it's like, I don't know if I want those anymore. You know, I think I want to settle it down. There's a few box sets that, you know, are essential because they're artists I grew up with, but I don't need every One Step or MoFi with its encyclopedia sized, you know, thing to go in there. I'm not what you call an audiophile. Like, if a record's good, I like to play it. I'm cool with it. But I think I've calmed down with the buying and everything. It just took me a while, but it was so exciting, and so much information was being thrown at you. Like, you know, I gotta listen to everything. Good thing there's streaming services too to check it all out. You know, so yeah, I don't know if you've experienced that.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, it's such a good point. Like, I just think about even things of like how much my opinions or feelings have changed just over the last 6 months versus even 3 years ago when I first, you know, I've always been a big music fan, but vinyl or record collecting it was a COVID hobby for me. It was we're locked indoors, can't do anything. Like, how about a hobby? And so, like, I still consider myself really new to it, but even within these like 3 years that I've been going at it, my feelings and thoughts, like, I used to be somebody who, you know, for example, I have the Are You Experienced UHQR?
Okay.
I never listened to it. But also, that's not a judgment on UHQRs or a judgment on people who listen to them, because that's what they're into. And I love that for them because that's what they're into. But for me, it was like, oh, I got to get after this because I need the best sounding version of every record ever.
Right.
And just because I'm sort of over that thing, or I'm not as interested in it anymore, or that you aren't, John, doesn't mean that we're not quote unquote audiophiles, because I don't know about you, but what I still do get excited about are Blue Note classics that are on sale on Amazon for $16. And I hit I'm like, for $16, give me, you know, like, give me that.
They're usually $40. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and it's like, so I still look at those, and I still do care who masters or who, you know, cuts this and that and stuff like that. So there is still a lot of things I care about there, but I think what has really fascinated me is expanding outside of the comfort zone, expanding outside of things I grew up listening to. And if you're going to give me the option of, okay, you have $120, you can either spend $120 on this really great, amazing sounding Steely Dan record, or you can go buy 10 records that have always interested you, but you've never really gotten into before, and now's your chance.
Right.
I'll take the 10 records and really and feel like I'm really having a good experience with that.
Yeah, that might be me too. Yeah.
Yeah, my collection's nothing like it was before. It's
I think it'd be cool to have. I just don't want to spend the money on those acoustic sounds. I'm sure they'd be cool to hear. I just don't want to spend the money on those at the moment. UHQR.
Yeah, my days of the upgrade, unless it's that album, like there's certain albums in your life that
Yep.
it's like, well, maybe I will have 5 copies of it. But yeah, now I'm slowing it down, and if I'm at the record store and I see the acoustic sounds next to an original, I'm like, well, cost wise now, I'm like, let me go ahead and put the original on the store record player, try it out. It sounds good. I don't want to know what the acoustic sounds like. Stay away from it. That's kind of where I am now. Because again, I could get other albums, for that money. So I see what you're saying.
And I don't know how it is for you two, but like I have a pretty, I wouldn't call it strategic because it's not that scientific, but I do buy, MoFis, or I do buy like analog production stuff, but it has to be very specific. One of those, John, that you just alluded to is like, if it's a record I love, then I want it, not because necessarily of how it sounds, but just because I love the album and I'm a collector of that, right? So I think for me, like, I love Warren Zevon, and so I wanted Excitable Boy from MoFi. I just I haven't A/B tested it. I haven't sat down and really gotten into like the dynamics, but I'm like, you know what? This is one of my favorite albums of all time. I want the best version of it.
It's funny you say that, because I just finished that album today for the first time. And I'm going through, I did Van Halen. I did the whole Van Halen catalog and talked about it on a live stream. And now I'm doing Warren Zevon. So that's his 3rd album, I believe.
Yeah, technically 3rd, but 2nd on Asylum, yeah.
Yeah, so that was, I have a question for you too when I finish this, but the cast that he had, personnel, whatever, the Eagles basically on that 2nd album and 3rd. I think the 2nd one was just Warren Zevon, and that was produced by Jackson Browne. But I mean, everybody was on there. Phil Everly, I think Carl Wilson was on there. It's like,
everybody,
yeah. So, since you're a Warren Zevon fan, do you know why there was such a gap? I think that what was the first one? Wanted Dead or Alive?
Yeah,
68 or something.
It's early, yeah.
Okay. Which is, I like that album too. That was really good.
It's different. They're very different, yeah.
Yeah, but then you enter some like country stuff almost. He kind of went country and it did back into almost like a psychedelic rock kind of feel.
It's weird.
But what was the gap there? Like it was 68 or 6, I think it's 68, and then his first one or 2nd album came out in 76.
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
Album, yeah.
So what was the gap? I was just
I know like he went over and I think he recorded that first record in like Spain or something, somewhere in Europe, and like kind of that was like his shot of like, ooh, I got this record deal, I want to record this album, and it just didn't do anything, and obviously it's so different than what would come later, and but during that whole time, I mean, he was a professional musician from the standpoint of like he was an arranger. Like his whole thing was that he was the arranger and musical conductor of the Everly Brothers, and so during that whole basically 70s period up until his self-titled Warren Zevon album on Asylum or whatever, he was like more of a professional musician. Like he was the conductor, he was the musical arranger, he has a classical background. I always John, if you're getting into like the Warren Zevon thing, one of the coolest, I think, like stories is his relationship with David Letterman.
I heard he did backups on something, right? Like on one of his albums.
Yeah, so like him and Dave were really close friends, and Dave was a huge fan of Warren Zevon, and like when he was dying, there's like a lot of interviews and times that he was on the show that are pretty emotional. And when Dave's I can't think of his name, the musical guy on Dave Letterman's show.
I forgot his name. Paul Schaefer.
Yeah, Schaefer. When he would be out, Warren would be the stand-in musical conductor for the band.
I don't remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they had always had a great relationship. And Warren always he said Dave was the closest friend his music ever had was David Letterman.
Cool.
And like, there's a great episode. I watch it every once in a while because I think we just passed like the 20-year anniversary of Warren's death.
Jeez.
And he went on there and did a whole show with David, I think maybe a month or two before he ended up passing. And it's just very, you could just tell the guy's dying and like, but they're also having like a very candid conversation about it.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I've always just been very fascinated by his life and that whole thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting drawn in, but I'm also like on a Tom Waits kick too, and they're not too far apart from each other.
I always compare them to each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm starting to kind of see it. Being able to just be yourself, do what's in your head. Because Tom Waits he's all over the place. But I watched like an hour of him on David Letterman just doing interviews, and when he'd go up to do a song and people that probably weren't familiar with him, and he does a song and they're like, do we laugh or what's going on here? But everybody was quiet after a while. Because especially he pulled out that bullhorn and started singing through it, I mean,
like, what is this? Is this a joke? Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. I want that fedora too. Were you the one that mentioned that about that fedora, signed fedora or whatever?
Yeah, I think that was Glenn or somebody.
Okay.
But
I want that. I just want to put it. I don't know if you're into reading, but I like Kurt Vonnegut, and I have a Kurt Vonnegut doll on my shelf. So I'd like to put the Tom Waits fedora next to my Kurt Vonnegut doll. That'd be kind of cool. I'd probably be the only person in the world that has that combination.
Well, it's funny you mentioned. I've always actually kind of compared the two, not musically. Like Tom Waits does not sound like Warren Zevon, but in terms of that other, singer-songwriter sort of category of people that were just quirky and more political, but not political for like the protest sake, more political of like the social, like, sort of observations of all the things that were happening. I mean, I think like if you just got through Excitable Boy, I think two of the most genius songs of all time are Lawyers, Guns, and Money and Rollin' the Headless Thompson Gunner. I mean, you want to talk about a story that is told in a 4.5-minute song. Yep. It's like they're just absolutely perfect. And you could go through the greatest songwriters of all time, and nobody's doing Rollin' the Headless Thompson Gunner.
Right.
It's like,
well, it's crazy, because you can talk about the CIA coming in, so you get the message there. But then, Roland is back, and he comes back and takes out, I forgot what his name was, Van something.
Van Owen,
and blew him through the wall. Van Owen, blew him through the wall. Yeah. With Thompson's still living on, so it's like this, Braveheart kind of, he's not dead, he'll never die. It's great songwriting.
And topically enough, I think one of the last lines is in Palestine in Berkeley. Yeah,
or was it? I thought the last one. Which one was the one he talks about? No, I thought it was Patty Hearst. He goes, Patty Hearst grabbed the gun, and like he had a little message about her.
Oh, you're right. Patty Hearst grabbed the wrist and Holmes and gun and
yeah. And then the song ends. You're like, oh, okay, we're gonna bring in Patty Hearst.
Yeah.
All right. It's because I've written songs and just never on a level like that. You get it when you write songs and you can come up with a melody and you have lyrics that work. But when you see how these guys write, it's like, man, it's a whole nother. It's really letting yourself go, to just let yourself go to places, and that's what Tom Waits does too with his music. Same thing. So, I envy that big time. Just to be yourself completely and not worry about anything around you. So that
MFSL version of what is Excitable Boy with Werewolves of London, right? So that sounds pretty good, doesn't it, Alex?
Yeah, I love it. And you know what, though? I think it's also one of those, and I'm not like I don't have a great system. I'm not one of these like, let's A/B test this and all those different things. Right. I think that was a pretty good sounding record to begin with.
Cool.
But it was just one of those. I mean, I think that's a perfect album with the exception of Nighttime in the Switching Yard. That's my only issue with that whole record is that they threw a random disco track on there.
Dude, that
But
is so funny because I'm looking at it, and that's the only song I didn't like on the album.
it's like, yeah, it's like it's a perfect. It all. I mean, everything's perfect with the exception of the disco song, right? Like,
Yeah, I think even Joe Walsh is doing a slide guitar solo in there, if I'm not mistaken. I've only heard it once, but yeah, I'm like, that's side two, and you're coming in with this. What the heck? And then you go into Veracruz. How do you go from
beautiful,
that?
beautiful.
Yeah, and well, it's accidentally like a martyr into that
Great.
switching yard into Veracruz.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing there?
Weird. I mean, that is. I always point to that album as like I can't call that a perfect record. It's one of my favorites, but it's not perfect because of that little
one
disco
song in the
track.
middle.
Yeah,
And I think there's only 9 songs on that album. So
yeah.
I'm not
Hey,
mistaken.
John.
Hmm.
Let me interrupt. I got gift. You know Mr. Steve Westman who does that
Yeah.
show. He gifted me this album.
Wow.
What is that?
Miles Davis.
Miles
Miles
in the Sky. Wow.
Sounds great. I love Miles Davis.
I love that record. I do have that. Yeah, that Mo-Fi version.
He gave this to me just because he asked me to be a moderator, behind the scenes moderator on his few of his live shows. That was nice of him.
Wow.
That's very nice.
What a gift.
And that's this right here. I'm going to tell you, that's what I love about the vinyl community. Not just that story, but I've never seen that album before. And you've heard of it. And it's like every time I turn around.
45 RPM too, which is interesting. 45 RPM each side.
But yeah, it's like, okay, there's another one. So it's like, how many albums did Miles Davis have? Holy cow.
Yeah, a shitload of albums.
Well,
Yeah.
that is a Beatles reference too. That is a Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds reference on that.
Oh, is it?
Miles in the Sky, Lucy in the Sky. Gotcha.
What was that, 68 or something, Dave?
It originally came out in 68, yeah, it says.
Okay.
Was that so that's close to him going into Fusion, or is he already into Fusion at that point? Because
That cover.
Yeah, that's right at the beginning of
what
his
year
electric
was?
career.
Okay, yeah. Because I love Jack Johnson and Bitches Brew. I like those two.
Bitches Brew album, original, or close to original. That's a good one.
And I don't think I would have been able to get into that if I hadn't already come in through, believe it or not, Kind of Blue. You start there.
I always say, I mean, like, Miles is one of those people that I think it's become like the overly obvious jazz pick. But there's a reason for that, because there are so many eras and there are so many different ways that you can get into him. What's funny though is like when people talk about fusion, they'll mention things like Bitches Brew or In a Silent Way. And to me, I love those records, but they're not accessible for like the newbie, right? Like you hear Bitches Brew or In a Silent Way the first time, you're like, this feels like ugh. But to me, the perfect place to start anybody is Jack Johnson. Like that is like a rock record.
That one. Yeah.
That's a rock record that's got some miles on it, it feels like.
And that could have been Hendrix. And that's one thing that kills me, because that could have been Hendrix on that album. He hadn't passed away. It's like, man.
That would have been wild.
As soon as I heard about that meeting in
too, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then it's another guy I got more into once I got into vinyl. It's Hendrix, and just this, I never listened to the unreleased stuff or whatever. I stuck to the 3 basic albums. Yeah, but man, you hear about the stuff that he just had sitting around because he never really finished it. It's amazing what he was up to.
It's crazy.
Man,
if him and Miles would have connected, God, could you imagine?
Yeah, that would have been. Yeah. Yes, that's times you're like, you're kind of like, it saddens you a little bit. It's like, man, what we missed out on.
Original Jimi Hendrix albums from late 60s.
Sweet.
Yeah, he's good.
What do you got? Do you have the Are You Experienced and stuff? And
I got the Are You Experienced, Axis Bowl of Love, and Electric Lady Land 2 record set. Yeah, they're all good.
And his he's one of those artists that they seem to like pour out during record store day. It's like you feel like every year there's like a new Jimi Hendrix release that's just from there. But his estate, whoever does his stuff, they always partner with, I think, QRP. They always partner with Quality Record Pressing to do the pressing down at Acoustic Sounds. They're always super cheap, like the reissues. Like I think like the Are You Experience with that was pressed at QRP was like a $15 or $16 record.
Wow.
Because like, I mean, as Dave, as you probably know, like to find some of those early clean presses of those Jimi Hendrix records are not easy and they're not cheap. But the reissues have been really great, and they've done some really good record store day issues on those, like during that era, obviously as well. Some live stuff or some studio stuff.
I don't have a record store day near me, really.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, that's tough. But you know what? There's so many places now though that are doing online stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, the nice thing about the Hendrix stuff or the Doors stuff is they press them in such high quantities that they're around and accessible for a while.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I even like that last Doors that came out. You know, everybody's like, oh, the quality. The quality wasn't great. You knew that going into it.
That's like
It's
the blues one, right?
Yeah, I liked it. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, just
different.
the story behind it too is, wasn't it like Krieger had the tape or something, and he had it in a player, and his kid or somebody came up and hit record and recorded
wow.
over part of it. So they had to go back and really edit it, but you couldn't tell where that problem was once they got done
That's
with
cool.
it. Yeah. So yeah, the Hendrix stuff, yeah, high quality. I've never had an issue with anything sound wise or anything on his stuff.
I like the Doors. I got the Doors' very first album, '67. Plays great. Found a very good copy.
Yeah, and I think that's my favorite album by them. I know a lot of people like LA Woman, but my favorite by far is like the first Doors album.
It has the longer version of Light My Fire and the End too.
Yeah.
Their first album. It's a good one.
Yeah, I have a hard time with Soft Parade. I can get through it, but to me it sounds kind of hokey. Kind of, I don't know.
You're a big fan.
Huh?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't mean to say, you're a big fan of Ray Charles, aren't you?
Oh yeah, yeah, I like Ray Charles.
I don't have any. I have one Ray Charles album, Genius plus Soul plus Jazz. I found.
That's a good album. Yep.
And I have a bunch of his 45 records anyway from the early '60s.
Yeah.
From Ray Charles.
Yeah, the first how many did he have? 6 or so on Atlantic. Those first albums, man, and then
the Switch record labels.
Yeah.
ABC Paramount.
Yeah, but Yes Indeed is by far like my favorite Ray Charles album. That one I can listen to over and over and over again. But any Ray Charles album I could put on. And early Ray, you know, he had a little period there, 70s, 80s, that, you know, but early Ray, yeah, love that stuff.
I like his early '60s music too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, just what he pulled off and just how the music came out of him. Oh, geez. Yeah. Makes you jealous.
Yeah.
John, was there anything on the the Black Friday record store day list that you were looking at?
Yeah, and I limit myself to the exclusives, which I guess doesn't really mean much anymore because it seems like a lot of these exclusives are being re-released later. So
yeah,
but at least I get the color variant, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. There's I think 4 that I had my eye on. The 13-4 Elevators.
Mm-hmm.
They have I think it was their third and I think final album, and it was kind of it sounded like it was kind of out of a psychedelic feel, more into like a bluesy rock. So I'm gonna pick that one up. There's a Nora Jones one that's coming out with her recordings from her podcast on Sirius.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So, yeah, they took that.
Yeah.
Los Lobos Kiko. They're doing like a 3-album set on that.
Oh, nice.
And then there was one more. I can't remember. I know. There's a 4th one. I don't remember what it is right now. Yeah, you got your eye on anything?
You know, a couple of things. You know, the record store day sort of, again, as an observer, as sort of like a new member of this whole thing, it's been interesting because at least in my experience, you have a lot of people who are like, record store day isn't what it used to be, and this is trash, and all these different things. And to me, it's more of this idea of, look, everything that we hear is that a lot more people today are buying records than they were over the past 25 to 30 years. So when you, let's just have a moment, right? Like when you have like 19 or 20-year-old women who are buying records now, you're not going to have as many of these like late 60s, early 70s hard rock bangers at your disposal like you used to. You're going to have more things like Taylor Swift or Olivia Rodrigo or The National or whoever, because
Yeah.
that's what the market is demanding right now.
Yeah.
And so I think that Record Store Day, at least in my brief experience, has approached it more of let's cast the widest net that we can in order to be the most accessible to everybody who's doing these things, instead of maybe 10 years ago we're deep diving and going really depth driven in a lot of these different genres. And so I mean there's a handful of things, but I'm with you. If it's something I don't want, there's been times I've just bought things because it was on Record Store Day and it comes out 3 months later and ends up on Amazon for half the amount. But it is the exclusive stuff that I like. And so I think there wasn't a ton there, which I'm okay with. I am a big Coheed and Cambria fan. I love Coheed, and so they have a live record being released. It's an exclusive, but the Coheed fans are pretty rabid. They're just one of these sort of fan bases that is like waking up early and sitting in line for hours and days is just sort of in their DNA. And so that might be a little bit tough, but that was the main one I was looking at.
What was the name of the band?
The band is Coheed and Cambria.
I've never heard that name at all before. Would you believe?
Yeah, they're kind of a tough classification.
They're not metal. But they're heavy.
Yeah.
But they have a distinct sound. They have a good sound, and their voice is a little interesting. Right, the way they sing is kind of at least a couple songs that I've heard. I don't know too much.
Yeah, very very like Geddy Lee meets like a little bit more like expressive, almost like emo type singing. So like very high pitched singing. Extremely like conceptual in terms of like the like progressive rock. So their whole thing was that their first like 8 records were all a part of this big long concept that the singer and leader sort of figured out based on comic books he wrote called like the Armory War or the Amory Wars. And there was a comic book to go with each record, and it was an ongoing story. I mean, like the first 8 albums are all concept. Like it's so funny because like for people who like progressive rock like I do, I'm like, this is a wet dream. This is amazing.
The inner nerd to get the everything right.
There's a ton of progressive rock elements, and it's progressive rock, it's hard rock, but there is also like this very modern, almost like emo-y type like tinge to it. It's hard to explain. They're a difficult group to categorize.
Yeah, I haven't listened to a whole album. There's I don't know if you listen to Howard Stern, but you have Richard Christie on there, and he's a big Coheed and Cambria fan. And he has his stories about wearing an adult diaper to the show so he didn't miss a song, because he drinks a lot of beer and he didn't want to miss a song, so he wears the diaper so he doesn't miss anything.
Relatable. Yeah. I mean, they're the what is it like, their big hit or whatever that I would always start anybody on is like, it's one of these like, these album titles that go on for like a whole paragraph.
Yeah.
So they're that band, they're like the In the Eyes of Madness Part 2, the Miracle and the Thief, and like that.
Yeah, we thought Pink Floyd had a long title with that several species of small animals gathered together in a cave grooving with a.
It's that type of stuff. Yeah,
that was long. Now you have Fiona Apple with her whole song title across the album cover all the way down, or her whole album cover. Yeah, it's when we're doing the new releases at the record store, I get in there early now and look at it, because sometimes I can't tell the difference between the title of the album and the band, and I'm like, I don't know. And then you look at the side, you can't see the band's name. I'm like, I'm lost. And sometimes I just go, hey, this album's out. If you notice it, if you know this album, cool, it's here. Because I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to tell. I don't know if they're just trying to be different or what that is, but it seems like it to be a lot of that.
Yep.
So yeah, it's pretty interesting. But and that's a dangerous thing too, being in there every week when you have these new releases right there in your hand, and you're like, oh boy, you know. Especially like I picked up the band, the Last Waltz. They put that out again,
Yep.
and I didn't have a copy of it, and there it was. I'm like, all right, well, this one's mine.
Was that the
So
new what Rhino Rocktober version?
yes, yep, yeah. I
That's
kind of
good.
wish they had that extra. There was I think they had two Muddy Water songs on there, but there was a third one. Can't remember which one it was, but I heard it on the digital version. I was like, man, I wish that was on the album. So you always kind of miss something with vinyl. There we go. Okay, but yeah, it's an interesting little journey. It is. It's funny because you do 2 hours with the other guys, and you're like still ready to talk more about everything because you just don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah, I'm in the honeymoon phase, you know.
Yeah, and I think Dave, you've been in this a lot longer than I have. I think you've been around. How long have you been in
Well,
the YouTube?
oh, I discovered a Concert Buddies channel about October last year, I think. So I've been following most of you guys for about a year now, I guess. Would you
Yeah, and I
believe?
think everybody kind of branched off from Rachel. I don't know if you've seen any Rachel stuff, but
For sure, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
I follow Rachel. Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes I need a break. Sometimes it's a little much. I don't like to mix my politics with my music,
Yeah,
and it
they
just
were talking about politics yesterday morning or this morning or
oh,
something.
they're yeah. She kind of starts her morning off of that, so I don't usually get in there first thing. And then somebody comes in like Mazzy, and he'll make a comment. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. You know, we're going to be more political than we are about music. I'm like, ah,
I bet I'm probably yeah, I'm older than both of you guys, right? Yeah, of course. Yeah, but
Maybe.
I'm 54. Yeah, but anyway, would you believe right way back when I was 20 years old? That's when I started going to thrift shops looking for records. I should have a bigger collection, but I got rid of a bunch a few years ago. But I'm
yeah. I
trying
think
to
a
get back.
lot of people did.
Yeah,
I didn't get back into it until I think I've been in a vinyl for about 6 years because my
I've been
wife
at a
made
lot.
the fatal mistake of
Yeah,
bringing home a Crossley. And I'm like, oh, look at this
Mhm.
little Crossley thing. That's interesting. And I had probably like five
Crowsley's
albums that I
sick.
had. Yeah. Well, she brought it, and I'm like, oh, I have these old Billy Joels, and I have some Clapton. And let's play them. And all of a sudden, I start going, huh, it'd be cool to have a couple more. So you start doing your research, going, oh wow, there's still record stores out there. And like, all right. So next thing you know, yeah, at least a good year into it, I'm up to like 50, 60 albums. I traded, the Crossleys in the garage, collected dust, and got a turntable. And yeah,
Yeah,
it was a whole new addiction.
yeah.
But it was, you realized what you were kind of missing. Like, I remember growing up. So, Dave, you only have a couple years on me. So, I came up through the 80s,
Me
teenage
too.
years.
Yeah, I was a
So,
teenager in the 80s too. Yeah,
yeah. So, we went from that listening to albums, cassette tapes, didn't really have
mm-hmm.
8 tracks or anything like that.
I used to
And
buy
always,
cassette tape.
yeah. And then once you get to become a
Pre-recorded.
teenager, you're like, it'd be cool to have, you know, more music accessible to you. You'd have to put that cassette in, or then finally
Yeah,
CDs came around and they're like, oh, this is cool. And then you had like big ass CD changers in the back with like 20 CD changers or whatever back there in the trunk of your car. And then you get into the streaming world. And so like everything's, at your disposal right there, just able to get to. But then you kind of lose touch with the individual albums. You're going through so many albums that you're losing touch with them, and you're not really absorbing them, I guess, the music. And then come back into this vinyl thing, and you realize you're missing that. You put that album on, and you're listening to it. You're checking out every song. You're listening. You're taking the time to flip it over. It's almost like we're back to where we started
Yeah.
with vinyl. So
I can't believe I
yeah,
used to buy those. The pre-recorded cassette tapes don't sound very good as opposed to CDs or records, do they? If you look back at them.
no, I
Or,
mean, I don't know. I have a couple cassettes. I put them in. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's
well,
nostalgic. I don't know.
yeah,
Um, but For the longest time, that was it. I had my boom box on the end of my bike, and I had a cassette in there, and you played it till like all the string came out of the thing. I mean, that was it.
I had one of those little
So,
boom boxes too one time.
oh yeah, yeah. They even Best Buy sells like a retro version of one that
Cool.
I like almost an exact model of what I had when I was a kid. So I had to get one of those. So I wonder if they were as flimsy as they are now, as they were back then. I don't know. It didn't seem like it's made of very hard plastic. But yeah, so I don't know if you have that experience, but yeah, we kind of came up. Did you? So coming up, what was like CDs already? Like
Yeah,
CD?
I would, I reference it when I, talk about, my journey, whatever. But like
Uh-huh.
when I was in, I guess, junior high, high school, so we're talking like 2003 ish. Um, was buying a ton of It's funny. It's like I was buying CDs when everybody else was getting into MP3 players and later
Oh
iPods and
yeah.
stuff like that. So they were all like, "What do you mean you buy CDs? Why don't you just have an
Right.
iPod?" I
Right.
never in my entire life, like my first iPod I ever owned was was an iPhone. I never had I was walking around with Walkmans, with CDs. So I think at some point there's this connection, this 20-year connection between, me going to, I mentioned this on the stream of like, for me, it was every other week going to Best Buy or Circuit City. And like, that's where you bought CDs. Um, and now it's like a very similar thing of like, there is always a sense of pride or whatever, or enjoyment out of the physical media
Right.
ownership of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
opening
And
it
talk
up,
about
seeing the liner notes, like just
yeah.
everything about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about a rabbit hole, right? Shoo. I mean, this music is yeah, it's got us. I mean, but it's still exciting to get something new, to open something,
Yeah.
or even
Just
open
about.
that.
I came across this album in Remy Show a few weeks ago.
There you go. Fifth dimension of the
Bird.
birds.
Yeah.
Oh, great album.
This is a mono copy though. I think I'd like to find a stereo version someday.
Yeah, I like the conversation night about the greatest hits, and yeah, I never thought about the difference between compilations to greatest hits to whatever. And I always thought like a lot of artists were really stretching it thin on their greatest hits. Like,
Another
you
Bird
know,
album came across.
oh, that's cool.
Came
That
in
whole
with,
that whole period is so good.
Country Growing the Fish. Not
Yeah,
really.
what song? No, no, no. I know the band. I think I know one of their songs. But I know the title, the name of the band. It's just one of those I haven't checked out.
Came across Steppenwolf's first album just
There you go.
weekends ago. Yeah.
Does that have the Pusher Man on it?
Yeah, that's Pusher Man, Hoy Jackson song, and Spirit's first album came across.
I love that record.
Yeah.
That's so freaky looking. It's like a freaky album cover.
They're sort of pop psychedelic, I don't know what kind of color music, kind of
Yeah.
a
I
little
always
bit.
just love it's like one of those things of like, the first thing I ever heard that had nothing to do with Spirit was the song Thunder Island by Jay
Okay,
Ferguson.
Ferguson, yeah, I've heard that one a few
And
times.
then you go back and you're like, wait, this guy was in Spirit and was like a meaningful songwriter? Like, all right, I don't know about this.
I'm gonna have to check both of those out. Well, there's a lot of artists that kind
Well,
of did that, right?
Oh my
That
God, absolutely.
can you
like
this blonde guy? He was with the group Heart later, I think.
Oh yeah.
Well, Mark Andy, pretty sure. I have to look at it. Mark Andes was later in the group Heart. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, interesting.
And Nancy Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what blew
it's
my
funny.
mind
There's a lot of
recently, I don't know
artists.
this. The thing that always blows my mind was, I guess this was the mid '80s. Fast Eddie Clark was out of the Motorhead thing, and Pete Way was out of the UFO thing. So they put a band together called Fastway, and it's this just. I mean, if you have the album Fastway, it is just an amazing, just good, hard rockin' '80s, '80s record. And then they had the singer who was kind of like the third person, right? So you had Fast Eddie Clark and Pete Way of these big, huge hard rock bands. And then, Glenn's still up.
Yeah, I wonder if he's sleepwalking right now.
He's got to be. And then you had this other singer. And so have either of you heard the Fastway album, Fastway?
I'd like to find that First Step Pathway album. I've never heard it. Would you believe it?
Yeah, well, the singer later went on to be the singer and main songwriter in Flogging Molly.
Oh, wow. I know Flogging Molly. Okay.
Like, that blows my mind.
It's so funny, like, you know, artists that you kind of grew up on, and then you realize like they were rock and rollers earlier, you know.
Oh my God, yeah.
I wasn't like completely up on everything. Like I kind of heard of bands at one point but never discovered them. But you know, like you heard Robert Plant, and I'm like, oh, cool. I grew up on his '80s stuff, and all of a sudden my friend's like, you know, that's Led Zeppelin guy. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So just those little, like, you know, even Ozzy growing up in his '80s period, but then you realize, oh, he was in this Black Sabbath band. So it kind of opens everything up, like Clapton, you know, I knew Clapton, and I went back and discovered all the bands he was in. So that's kind of fun when you make those little connections. You go, oh, wait a minute, you know?
Yeah, one of my, I guess, quote unquote, prized possessions is Dusty Hill, bassist in ZZ Top. Obviously, we lost him, I think, a couple of years ago. Yeah. But he was in a band before ZZ Top called, great band name. The band was just called American Blues.
Oh, okay. I remember that.
And I have a promo
nice
record of him in American Blues before he joined ZZ Top. And
cool, very cool.
It's just like, I mean, it's good, like good sort of gritty American blues. But yeah, that type of stuff is so cool, going into like the wormholes of all these people and all the different things they did.
I was thinking one of the members of ZZ Top, was in some group called Moving Sidewalks.
I was just gonna say that. Yep. Yeah, I have that album.
Which member?
Yeah,
that's Billy Gibbons. Yeah.
Oh, Billy Gibbons.
Yeah. I didn't discover that until I was in the vinyl community. I'm like, oh, and I checked it out. I'm like, that is cool.
Who Jimi Hendrix said was the greatest guitar player he's ever seen or heard was Billy Gibbons.
That. Great quote. Yeah.
I thought that was Rory Gallagher. Didn't Hendrix like Rory Gallagher a lot too? He kind of held him.
He probably said that about a few people, you know.
Yeah.
But Rory's great too.
Yeah, he's another one I had no. He wasn't even on my radar until
that Taste stuff is great that he was in.
Taste.
Yeah. And well, it's even like Dio. You know, I love everything about him. I like the guy, who he was, the voice, but I never got into that 80s metal kind of thing. But then I discovered
Dio albums last spring.
Yeah.
Then
I discovered Elf, and I freaking love the Elf stuff.
That's really,
you know, that was like good rock and roll.
That's like boogie rock. It's not what you
it's like but I dig that. So it's funny. You might not like everything about a career, but you might find a little something somewhere along that line.
For sure.
Yeah, you can't like everything, but there's no reason why you can't like, you know, some artists, I like one particular album from them and I just can't get into anything else. Like I have a hard time with a lot of Prince's stuff. I like a lot of his singles, but like for me it's Purple Rain.
It's like, I mean, he sounds like a perfect artist that you would have a comp for, of like, just give me the greatest hits and I'll be all right.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's pretty amazing how that works.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Glenn's not coming up. I put that link, but he's not biting.
I was like, well, it's reaching my bedtime too, guys. So I gotta be up in the morning. I don't know about y'all.
Yeah, we're at the 1 hour mark, so we're good. You did your 3 hours of live streaming tonight.
Up, Alex.
I appreciate you, Dave. Thank you, sir.
I forgot to push the notification bell, so I need to watch your videos.
Oh, that's it. Hey, it's okay. Well, at least Glenn agrees that Prince is the perfect hits guy. But
from the guy that doesn't like hits.
I don't know if y'all heard me at the end of the video on Glenn's stream. I think tomorrow I'm doing I'm jumping on the Rob Walker illustrated covers thread. But when I was starting to pull these out, it sort of just shaped up to be my favorite 10 or whatever illustrated covers, the Prague edition. So a lot of progressive rock from 70 to 2023. I'm going to go in chronological order. So
Okay, yeah, I'll keep an eye out for it. I was thinking about doing that one, and I don't know. It's just funny. Like sometimes you prep up and never get the video done. Sometimes you have 2 minutes and you grab it. So yeah, I'll keep an eye out for that.
Some people don't do editing or don't try to pretty it up and just look like an idiot like me, and we don't have to.
That's me.
We don't have to worry about it.
Keep it nice and simple, man. I mean, if you could do it simple, it makes it so much easier. But all right, cool. Well, thanks for coming up, guys. Dave, you got anything coming up, or you doing any videos, or just whatever happens?
I'm not doing too many videos anymore. Just once in a while, record finds, stuff like that.
Yeah, just keep them coming.
You two can follow me on Instagram. I put my record finds on Instagram too, if you want. If anyone wants.
No, we're not on Instagram. We're on, what are we on together?
YouTube. I need to change my Instagram name. It's not the same as what here, but.
Okay. All right, well, cool. Well, thanks for coming up, guys. Appreciate it. I'm going to keep walking. It's nice.
Hey, nice to meet you, Alex. Hey, John.
Hey, you too, Dave. Appreciate you, man.
All right, and I'll be watching your videos. All right, so that was cool. Everybody's up there. I'm going to finish my little walk. Glenn's in his jammies, all cuddled in bed, ready for Christmas. He's all good to go. So I'm just around the corner. Sorry, no muggings tonight. No prostate exams in the dark. Nothing like that. So I'm going to finish it up. Appreciate you guys watching. I don't know who the 4 are, but thanks for watching. My light stayed on, and I didn't lose my hotspot on my phone, so that's pretty cool. So anyway, I will see you guys soon. We'll be filming a video tomorrow for new releases at the record store. And then I've put out a video every week over on the Strange Brew Reactions. So if you want to see me trying weird food and listening to music, you can go there. Oh, there's Sam. I'm not expecting you to come up, are you, Sam? Are you in your jammies too? Because did you see here? Glenn's all nestled in bed. I don't know why I picture him like, with a Santa Claus hat on right now. It's probably not a good thing. Surprised you're still up. You're Virginia time. You're in my time zone, I think. So, yeah, it was a good talk with everybody. So if anybody wants to come up, that's cool. If not, I'm heading around the corner. I don't want to go in. It's like actually really nice out here tonight. Yeah, I always get a good reaction from you on those. I appreciate you watching those, Glenn. I didn't get too many reactions off the one I did with my daughter. I thought it was kind of funny, but I think the audio wasn't great. But we did that Screaming Jay Hawkins song, the Constipation Blues, and it's just funny playing that video, that song for her, and seeing her reaction to that. Like, oh my God, like somebody actually wrote a song about this. So that was pretty funny. But there's so much to listen to out there. I'm trying to get her to expand her channel out a little bit. And I was trying to get some more music in there because she might be able to draw some more people in that way. So always trying to promote hers. But yeah, I'll be in there tomorrow. Is the Beatles one out this week? So I don't know if I'll be reviewing that one tomorrow. I'm not sure what they're going to have in store. I haven't really talked to them. I was out of town last week. Actually, I was in Orlando, Glenn. I was over in Orlando near the area where the record show was. No, but I have it on a Post-it. Both suggestions from you and Larry, they're on a Post-it on my laptop. So I will be getting to that. I'm focusing on the Warren Zevon right now, but I want to do, I plan to do a video, hopefully, after listening to those 2 albums and just saying, songs suggested by Glenn and the Canadian Stud Muffin. So yeah, I still have it. Actually, a friend of mine told me it's a pretty cool album. Yeah, so I will be checking that out. So yeah, and I heard Larry went live today too. I didn't miss that one completely. Yeah, it's like another day in the vinyl community, man. Just new music popping up all over the place. But I look forward to listening to it. I'm really liking this Warren Zevon stuff. I just finished Excitable Boy, and yeah, that was such a good album. But like we were just talking about, it was just that one song on there that I wasn't much into. But the rest of the album, man, yeah, it's just a crazy. Like Johnny Strikes Up the Band was pretty good too, but it just got better from there. Yeah, Rolling the Headless Thompson Gunner, Excitable Boy. I mean, just weird twisted lyrics too. Oh, there's Scotty Dog over there in Clearwater. I'd have you up, man, but I'm getting ready to cut it off. I gotta get to bed. Yeah, Warren. Ugh, hold on, I had a little thing on there. Yeah, Warren's Eve on. I'm really liking it. Um, just yeah, we were talking about a comparison and then kind of putting it together. But if you're a Warren Zevon fan, you might as well be like a Tom Waits fan too. It's kind of fits, even though it's not particularly the same music. But yeah. All right, Glenn. All right. Do you want me to sing you to sleep or anything? Would you like me to put on what is it, the White Album, Good Night? Because I know you love that song. You can listen to that and go to sleep and have Ringo in your ear as you go to sleep. You could do that. Maybe I should do that. That's a good idea for a channel. I could just get on and tell bedtime stories to people. Is anybody doing that on YouTube? Tell bedtime stories? I can even put like a little rock and roll twist to it or something. You could have Peter Pan as like a electric guitar player, and Captain Hook's pissed because like he used to be in the band and he got kicked out, so he went into a heavy metal thing, but he could never kind of get up to the quality of Peter Pan. There you go. Look at that. I should be a writer. Wasting my time doing these videos. I should be writing fairy tales for rockers. That's what it is. Late night stories with John. Boom. Channel's coming, guys. Keep an eye out for that. No more walk and talks. It's going to be me sitting next to I don't know, we don't have a fireplace here, but I'll put a candle and call it my fireplace. Yeah. You see, this is where you guys don't want to be. When I get into this mode, I get into some strange thoughts and crack myself up. So, all right, winding around the corner. Glad you guys could hear my insanity before you go to bed. But just think about that. Let me know what you think. Rock and roll fairy tales by John. I think I'm onto something. All right, guys. So take care out there. Glenn, one of these days I'll get up on a live stream with you, but man, at 8 o'clock kills me. But I want to get up there. So anyway, you guys take care. Sleep tight, everybody. Night, night.